Welcome to the last session of the day. I would say these guys up here need no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. These are some really badass guys that work at NASA. That's it.
All right. So I am Alan Goldbig. I'm here along with Josh Harvey, Chris Tinker, and Mike Nestor. Today we are going to talk to you about how we've implemented Jamf at a subset of subgroup of Macs, that group being about 4,000. We're going to talk first about how they were managed and supported before we got Jamf in. And then Chris is going to talk a little bit about how he went to different centers, spoke with different missions, different security plans about how we wanted to support them and help them get Jamf Pro so that they can use it for their projects. Then Mike is going to talk a little bit about our infrastructure. And then I'm going to go over our PIV mandatory project from last year that helped us get Jamf in. And then we're going to take all the requirements that we got, and we're going to then talk about kind of the value add, the things that we gave our admin so that they could support their users. So you've heard we work here, a small agency. We have centers, 10 of them across the US. I work out of Glenn Research Center in Ohio. We have some iPads up in space. These guys work at Goddard Space Flight Center, and in a bit you're going to learn why there are so many kittens at Goddard and Ames.
So many cats, so many system administrators, so many labs and projects. So basically before Jamf, everybody had their own solution, be it Monkey because it was free and it had self-service, which was pretty cool. Case because it was provided by the agency, so everybody was rolling out their own scripts and packages through Case. Somehow, people were managing large groups of Macs with just Apple Remote Desktop. Not quite sure how they were doing that, but they were making it work. And around the time we rolled out Jamf, the agency was rolling out BigFix as well, so everybody was working on migrating their Case scripts and Case deployment methodologies to BigFix. And luckily, we had a few groups running Jamf Pro as well, so that allowed us to tag up with them early on and really get an idea of the product. So one of the big issues, well, we had a lot of issues actually. So we were unable to create a unified solution for all of the products to apply NASA security baselines, and that's one of the things that Alan's group does. So we have all these teams, and they're provided these security baseline solutions, and we say, go deploy them, but not how to deploy them. We had dispersed patching methodologies, so it was either Case or Monkey or BigFix, but it wasn't easy. And we had no offsite user support. So if there was an offsite user that didn't have a VPN client, for example, and they had to get into the NASA network, how do we push that out? We can't. So they're in Alaska, and they can't get to their corporate resources. That's not cool. So that led to a higher count of admin users, and that's not good in the US government space. So to fix this, or to, I guess, gather all the requirements, we went to multiple centers, gathered all the lab requirements, the security plan requirements, figured out which systems couldn't be 100% compliant with all of the security baselines that Alan's group pushes out. And we found out that a lot of the clean rooms, for example, maybe couldn't implement PIVM, or some developers needed incognito mode on Google Chrome, and those are just things that are locked out by default for our normal systems. Plus, we had 200 plus systems administrators for those 4,000 systems. I know that sounds like a lot of system administrators, but they do more than just manage macOS devices. They build out infrastructure for labs and, well, things that fly. At that point, we realized we were completely screwed, so we went back to the drawing board. The other fun part, after we gathered all the sysadmin requirements, we had to create a palatable menu offering. So we couldn't just say, hey, stop using Monkey, stop using BigFix, stop using Case, move everything over to Jamf. We had to give them a reason to use Jamf. So one of those reasons was patching support. We rolled a lot of that up to our level. You guys probably hate patching Flash Player all the time, so we just did that once and pushed it out to 4,000 plus systems. It was really easy. Also, unlike the other agency solutions that were provided, we gave everybody more access to use the tool. So thanks to sites, we were able to give them full access to all the capabilities of Jamf, just pretty much unrestricted. That's the opposite of what most of the agency tools allowed. Plus, we were able to make custom things like exceeding password checkouts so that for those systems that still had a password and couldn't use a smart card, we were able to develop custom solutions for that. Next one. So agency treats. We're trying to stick with the cat theme. So this is management treats. We wanted to make sure that we could sell this product to management and we wouldn't get any real pushback. And luckily we didn't. We were able to sell it pretty easily because high availability capabilities are built in if you implement it that way. We had full integration capabilities with existing identity providers, so we have Active Directory, obviously. We have SAML capability, just IDPs across the board. We're using multiple solutions, all the way back to just standard LDAP. Also, we have smart card capabilities all across the agency. We wanted to make sure that Jamf could implement very easily with a smart card, and it does, as you'll see later today. And basically what that means is compliant admins and compliant systems means happy management, happy agency in general. So it was a super easy sell. So I can barely see because of these lights, but how many of you use sites? Show of hands. Well, so that's kind of funny because a lot of groups don't use sites and some don't even know what sites are. We do as well. Next slide. We have 150 sites. Okay, good. I figured that would have an impact. The reason we have so many sites is because we have that many labs, that many security plans. We're dispersed across so many centers and all across the US, and we had to isolate all of these systems across these multiple security plans. And thanks to Jamf sites, we were able to do that. Also, leadership has different ideas and directions that they want to go. I'm sure we all experience that. By utilizing different sites and isolating those systems, it allowed those groups to manage their systems kind of however they wanted. They could stick with their current methodologies, and they didn't have to go through any drastic change, which allowed us to implement a lot faster.
So for the infrastructure, NASA, we know how to analyze clouds, and we have toys on the other side of clouds. But when it comes to actually using a cloud, we revert back to our data center ways. So don't do this setup. Yeah, for 4,000 endpoints, we have 16 EC2 servers, divided between 4 Jamf instances. This goes back to the sites that Chris was talking about. We couldn't put all those in one Jamf instance and not go crazy. So we divided them up, the 2 larger centers, Ames and Goddard. They're most of the Mac devices. So they each get their own Jamf instance. And then we have a catch-all instance for all the other centers that don't have that many Macs. And this is to help in our separation. We wanted Ames to be able to push out stuff and help their users better than coming all the way down from the top level. We also, since we couldn't give a reliable cost for S3, we have IIS servers running locally at Ames and at Goddard to do our package distribution. So why do we have so many servers? Amazon's not that clear to some people how they do their failover capabilities. So we had to build that in so it was very visible to management. Also, what I just mentioned with the sites and multiple instances. So what did we learn in this? Amazon is really hard to sell at the agency, and Jamf, get your FedRAMP done.
Judging by all the laughter, there's a few government people in here. So how many of you tap into your existing identity providers? If you have Jamf, probably all of you. Those of you that maybe don't have Jamf yet, this is a great presentation for you because we were able to integrate into all of our existing identity providers. We're utilizing SAML via ADFS, and we do all of our provisioning automagically, I like to say, because I don't really have to do anything except hit a green button, which is wonderful. We're using Active Directory groups, and we're tying in other Active Directory groups that we have for user access, and it's all completely automated, which makes my job really, really easy. Next one. So behind me, you'll see a little video, and this probably doesn't apply directly to you, but it gives you an idea of the automation that we are able to build in using our existing infrastructure. So this is called ID Max. It's how all of our users request access to things. Essentially, what it boils down to is we have system administrators that need access to 1 or 10, or however many of those 150 plus sites. They can just select what center they're in, what security plan they need access to, and what subgroup within that security plan. Mike is one of our problem directorate leads. He has 25-ish sites that we have to deal with, so this made it really easy for me. So basically, if you have Active Directory set up, you could do something very similar pretty quick. So behind me, and I apologize for blurring this out, we had to clear this with management first. There's security plan numbers in there. What this is basically showing is the effort that we put out to build kind of a community. What I mean by that is everybody is granted read access to full Jamf Pro, to certain aspects of it anyway. So policies, configuration profiles, patch management, scripting capability via another method. Everybody has access to that immediately. And what that allows for is all of the system administrators to share their policies, to share their configuration profiles. There's a lot of sysadmins that maybe didn't support macOS devices, and we're just saying, hey, here's Jamf, use this to support your macOS devices, and they had never deployed a configuration profile. So we could link them to another group's configuration profile without the risk of showing that other group's systems. So there's still that project and security plan isolation, but we're still sharing as much content as we possibly can.
So the US government said we need to PIV all the systems. It means we can't use passwords. We need to log in with our smart cards. And when we do log in with our smart cards, that's all you can use. So I spoke last year here about how we did that, and you can check it out online. So let's see. Some of the issues that we ran into at that time were we were using Centrify, which didn't go over very well with the users. And that stopped working for a second. And so we also learned from that we needed to move away from binding. So all of our systems are local. We use Enterprise Connect to get our Kerberos tickets, but we don't have to worry about any kind of binding issues. We don't have to worry about secure token when changing passwords or anything like that. Also, macOS 10.12, when we first started doing this,
yeah.
Cool.
That's some good background music.
Yeah. So 10.12 did not let you manage smart cards very well. We did this kind of hack where we removed the password from the authentication authority, and this allowed us to, in a way, for some users to use their smart card. But then what would happen is if they had to go back to using the password, they would have to put that hash back. When 10.13 came along, then we were properly able to manage smart cards, as Apple finally gave us the keys and gave us the configuration profiles to enforce smart card. This mic keeps going out. But at the same time, we had to meet a deadline. So the US government basically told us that we needed to meet a deadline, and that if we did not meet that deadline, then there was a chance that Max would have to go away. Thankfully, this wasn't the case, as we used attribute mapping, which is very similar to what most people do for smart card login with Active Directory, but we were doing it with local accounts. We did this by mapping certs on our cards to the alt security identities on our local account. And then with Jamf, we were able to use configuration profiles to essentially force the machine to only allow smart card login. This led to a lower failure rate, much lower than we were seeing with Centrify. And now that companies like Adobe and Microsoft have adopted Crypto Token Kit, we no longer have to use Token D. The user satisfaction has gone up. So we talked about Chris going and doing the requirements, the PIV mandatory project, Now we're going to talk about where we kind of built some things out for our sysadmins so they could support their 4,000 systems.
So we have everything in place. Our admins still needed to do things. And it sounds like everybody has experienced this before with uploading the Jamf. Well, we needed to fix this. We needed to figure out a way and make this not happen. Next. If we were going to get our system administrators to buy into using Jamf Pro, it had to meet two needs. They needed to upload packages, scripts, profiles sometimes. They needed to get things from A to B, and we had to figure a way out without giving away the keys to the kingdom. Next. So these needs, first it had to be simple. It had to mimic Jamf Pro's ease of use, Jamf admin's ease of use. Had to let them upload packages. Uploading things is important. We went a step further. We added a category. So anything that they upload, they edit, they modify, it doesn't go into no category assign. It actually is a little bit more organized. It's a simple interface. If you've used a web portal, you can use the upload page. And it's drag and drop. You can drag 1, 50, 100. I wouldn't try 100, but you can drag it on over. Next. And it also had to upload things. That's the whole point of the upload page. It works with our HTTPS distribution points. We don't have S3 for various reasons, but it works. You can download any package uploaded. I'm sure everybody loves being able to download packages from Jamf Pro. It's very easy. Not really easy. You can edit scripts. You can actually search for scripts now. It works. And we've also built in the capability of performing or adding audit logs. So anytime an action is performed, uploaded, downloaded, deleted, it's tracked. Didn't want all that site-based access to go unnoticed, so we had to build that into the upload page if we were going to sell it. So anybody who logs into the upload page, they have a site selection dropdown, whether they have 10, 20, 150 like us, or 1. You're going to see those options there. Center admins, we can see everything. Site admins can only see what is under their site. And we also wanted to make it visible to everybody. If we were going to push something down from the top, we wanted to make sure that we were fully transparent with what we were pushing down. So anybody who has access to Jamf has a read-only access. They can't edit, but they can see everything that we push down. And, well, as Alan mentioned, the government likes smart cards. So we put it behind our SiteMinder instance, and before you even access the upload page, you have to log in using your smart card. This enabled us to get their username and tie that into our audit logs, which is something that we couldn't do with Jamf Admin. So here we have the upload page. You can select a category, and you can see dragging and dropping. You can drag 100, 50, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the size either, and this was really important. A lot of our users like to telework on Fridays. Well, a lot of the things get done on Friday. So we had to make it so it didn't just suck to upload things. We added in the capability of chunking. So it doesn't matter how large that package is, what the size is, it's going to upload in increments. So it's not going to matter where you're uploading it from. As soon as it's uploaded, you can see it's available for use. The cool thing is you'll notice at the beginning of the package name, the site name gets prefixed to it. So it's organized and it's easier to keep track. One of the really cool features about this is when there was an issue with uploading profiles, configuration profiles, or creating them. We have 150 sites. each one of those sites needed the ability to create configuration profiles. Well, Chris and I weren't going to spend all that time creating 150 plus profiles every single time. So this way, they were able to drag and drop, upload, and it was there. So this resolved it until Jamf was able to fix that bug in their next release. Downloading. This is awesome. So you select your site. It pulls an API call with only the packages that are prefixed with your site name, and you can download them. This allowed us to easily troubleshoot any help tickets when they came in about, this package doesn't work, that package doesn't work. If an admin wanted to give a package to another site, they could easily do that, all through the upload page. And, well, I know I hate going in and deleting things, and I don't want to delete somebody's package or script or whatnot. So now we also built in the capability of being able to delete a package or a script that your site uses. So if you're a site admin, you have 100% control of everything you use through this upload page. Now, deleting is scary, so it doesn't actually remove it from the distribution point itself. It takes that and moves it to an archive folder on the distribution point. So if you delete something by accident, we can just drag and drop it back over, and you're good to go. Now, scripts. I love scripts. I hate having to search for scripts, so I wanted to make it easier. I could do that through the upload page too. Uses the same methodology. If you're part of Site A, you're only going to see Site A's scripts. Has a built-in code editor. I wanted to remove Outlook, so the first script I did, it didn't really work. So I was able to use the upload page to edit and make that script actually remove Outlook. Since it's using API calls, as soon as you hit save, you'll get a prompt, refresh the Jamf Pro window, and then you'll see you can remove Outlook. So it's all API calls, all quick and easy, and it's all in one central location. Making it's built off PHP and VGA. It's really dealer's choice with your web server. We run it on IIS, but you can use Apache, pretty much anything you want. I did a presentation at Penn State Mac Admins Conference, so you can check that out as well if you want to learn more. I also have the upload page code on my public GitHub repo. So you can take this, modify it, and use it to make your lives better too.
So as Chris said earlier, I work on a team called CSET. We set the security baselines for all of NASA. That's operating systems, applications, network protocols, pretty much anything IT related. And before I started there, I've only been here for like 3 years, there wasn't really a good way to apply these specs because we were using Monkey or Case or ARD for some reason or anything. And so we had to figure this out. So as I said, historically, we did everything based on CIS. We had a lot of like one-line scripts. So when I first started, we had like a ton of extension attributes for each CIS check. And I was just like, what is going on here? We can't do this. And previously, like they said, everybody had their own like litter box, as we said earlier. So we needed to things had to change. So now we're using a modification of Jamf Pro scripts. So thanks, Jamf, for that. We are using configuration profiles wherever possible. So if there isn't a profile available, we will do a script for it. And then what's nice is sites can decide whether or not that, based on a risk-based decision, they can decide whether or not they want to apply a certain setting. So we, for say Google Chrome, we kill private browsing. They don't like it, so they do a risk-based decision, and they can then turn that off. This has led to higher acceptance And deployment, I would say, what was it previously?
I mean, we ballparked 30, 40% compliance before, and now we're 60 is the absolute minimum, which isn't great, but it's way better than 30 or 40. And a lot of the groups that are actually trying are upwards of 80, in some cases 90% compliant. So it helped a lot.
And so one thing that's actually really nice is we adopted ASCII Doc for our documentation, which is kind of grown throughout the agency. And pretty much anything that we publish is in ASCII Doc format, which has made actually writing these docs pretty easy. This is an example. All of our specs are in GitHub. This is internal GitHub, not public GitHub, obviously. Sorry. I can figure something out. This allows our admins to file issues. So if, say, they think there's a reason we should remove something, they can make their case. Or if they want to weirdly add something, they can make their case. Just an example, just because I think ASCII Doc is pretty cool and what we've done with it is pretty cool. This is just the front page of our 1015 spec. And if you've used the Jamf CIS scripts, this is kind of what it looks like as a policy. The set priorities is where the admins can deviate from what we state, because you can set true or false. Runs the audit, and then if anything is found, remediates, and then runs the audit again. And then it's kind of hard to see on the other side, but that's a system that needs to run some software updates and is not configured for smart card enforcement.
So now that we've got smart card enforcement, you're walking down the hall and your user stops you. Hey, help me install this package. You don't want to run back to your office and do, the whole package deployment. So you need to log into that system now. Well, what if Chris set it up? The local admin account is only mapped to him. We actually found out that you can map multiple accounts to the one account with your smart card. So this works for admin accounts or shared group accounts for like lab systems and things like that. And it allows anybody with that smart card, with a mapped smart card, to log into that account without having to set it up beforehand. And this can be pushed out from Jamf. So it just adds to the alt security identities. And here you can see we've got 3 admins that are mapped to this account. But there's still issues with this.
So if you've used a smart card, you know the first time you pair or map and you log in, you get a little keychain prompt. What that means is it uses your encryption cert, your KMK, to wrap your login keychain password so that every time you log in, it unlocks your login keychain. If you switch between smart cards, you get the prompt again. So you had to know the local admin password. As well, not all preference panes are just PIN only. 1014, you had security and privacy, and you had users and groups. 1015, we just have user and groups. Hopefully, 1016, that'll go away, maybe? I'm looking at you, Apple. And also, we didn't want to share an admin password. We wanted it to be easily checked out from Jamf or from self-service. So we came up with a local admin password script. There's some really good ones that work with Active Directory, store the attribute in AD. We're not AD binding, so we needed something that would store it elsewhere. We went with an extension attribute. Jamf, please give us the ability to lock extension attributes. That would be great. And then we also had an optional self-service policy. So a user, if an admin went to a user's desk and the user was logged in already, the admin can put their card in, go to self-service, and actually log in with their smart card, and then get the policy that they need to run. An example of this is here. So we're opening up self-service, logging in, and then we're going to go to our IDP. That's going to prompt me for my smart card PIN. And then it'll know that I'm logging in, and I have a policy called lapse, or password checkout, network. So I'm going to go to this JNUC setting, lapse, and I'm going to get my password, and then it's going to present it to me to copy it into my system clipboard, and then I can use an admin password, and then I can go to System Preferences. I can do a pin prompt for that users and groups. So it knows my card, I'm a local admin. It doesn't say Alan Goldberg. And then I log in again with my password, which I just got from the self-service policy. So this allowed us to use admin passwords that no one knows. But again, it's in an extension attribute. We can't lock it out. So feature request.
But it doesn't break secure token either.
It also does not break secure token, this whole lab scripts, which was a big win. We don't put most of us don't put our admin accounts at pre-boot, but some of us do.
So what happens if a user can't log in with their smart card and say admin Chris is gone for the day, but I'm still at work? Well, we needed to figure something out. We have a 24/7, 365 Tier 1 help desk. We needed to figure out a way to have them help the user without giving them access to Jamf, without having them under control of the machine. So what do we do? Some of the issues we were running into that we had to resolve during thinking of the solution was a user could only call a system admin to PIV exempt their system. It was controlled and based off of flipping an extension attribute from a 1 to a 0. If I couldn't reach my system administrator, I'm screwed. I can't work, I have people yelling at me, and it just was not fun for everybody. So we took what we knew with the upload page and ported it over and created a smart card exemption portal. Now a user, day, night, doesn't matter. I don't have to know where admin Chris is. It doesn't matter. I can call the help desk 24/7, 365, and the help desk technician actually has access to that the PIV exemption portal. They don't have access to Jamf. They can't log in. It's not needed. The smart card exemption portal, it performs API calls to actually flip that 1 to a 0. And we wanted to make sure that the system admin didn't need to worry about, oh, well, it's Monday morning, let me go change this from a 0 to a 1 to a 0 and enforce this computer. This portal, if it's exempted, it has a 48-hour expiration date. So it doesn't matter where they're at, 48 hours after that's issued, it goes back to being smart card enforced. And here's a little example of what a ESD technician or a help desk technician would have. So we're looking for Aaron Rodgers' computer. We see he has one computer there. So we select the reason why and issue PIV exemption. API call is performed. As long as that computer can reach the internet, Google, doesn't matter. They're exempted. Quick, easy, and this solved all of the issues we had with exemptions. So what did that look like inside of Jamf Pro? Well, we have a screenshot here of the 3 smart card exemption extension attributes. You can see the smart card exempt EA is a 1. We have the reason, which is a badge issue. And then we have a field underneath it, which some of you may not know. If you'll probably know more than that.
Yeah, so your IT security teams, or if you are IT security, you'll know this. So you either have a risk-based decision or a POAM, basically when you're going to resolve the PIV exemption. We keep that field in there. That way we can report on it and we can report that up to management and they understand why systems aren't PIV compliant. It just allows us to easily capture all those non-compliant systems.
So if a user used the smart card exemption portal to get an exemption, I'd get yelled at for erasing that very important number. So we have it listed, so it's not going to replace that, but it's also going to say ESD, which is Enterprise Service Desk. And then the username of the actual help desk technician that issued the exemption. And again, it's written off PHP and VGA. It's really dealer's choice when it comes to web server as well. It works Apache, IIS. I mean, if it's a web server, you can put it on there. I also have the code available on my public-facing GitHub repo. You can take this and you can use it however you want. The really cool thing is it doesn't have to be for smart card exemptions. Anything that you have as an extension attribute, you can use this page and go running with it.
Sorry. So that's pretty much it. We basically taught our admins that it was okay to be hands-off, that they could use self-service, that it would reduce their calls to them, allow them to do more testing, because as Chris said, they're not just supporting their Macs, they're supporting their missions. And that there's always more work. There's testing for Catalina, there's testing for new versions of Jamf. And most importantly, the most important thing about this project that we learned is that Mike finally likes something. I'm going to leave that up there.
So we have time for questions, if there are any, about any aspect of this presentation.
Yeah.
Toss the mic.
I got it. You get the first question?
Why does he get the first question?
I heard somebody on the team has a birthday coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. Come on up, Alan. Come on up.
Do I have to
Now
wear
put
this
it on.
tomorrow?
Elizabeth Neal has been a Girl Scout since
I'll wear this
kindergarten.
tomorrow. Don't.
Do it.
I'll do it.
Do it.
I think there
a
were
lot
some
of
real
years.
questions, too.
So more out of curiosity, is there any Macs in actual space? And if so, how do you guys manage those?
I'm going to drop that one on Alan.
No comment.
All jokes aside, everything in space is a security plan that we can't talk about.
Yeah. Anything else?
I can yell. How do you deal with file vault and using smart cards? Because I don't think you can use a smart card to get them.
You can't, but we have local passwords. And so when we first set up, it depends. Like my group, we have our own instance of Jamf. Josh likes to make fun of me because we only have like 30 Macs.
13.
No, it's 30. But so
We don't count your test
we also have Apple Business Manager, where most of the agency does not. And so for us, we go through the whole setup process, and then after that, use DEP notify, use your local password. You can't use PIN. So until Apple changes that, looking at you, Apple, thanks for the shirt. We will. That's what we do.
Well, and we are capturing recovery keys for when we need to get into a system and the user isn't available or forgot their password or something like that. We're capturing that in Jamf.
There we go.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
How is the authentication from the upload server handled to Jamf? Is that just like a service account that you have there?
Yeah, it's a service account.
Noted. I was wondering if you had some magic to pass the credentials like the...
No, just a service account with a really long,
Hashed out.
hashed out
Right.
password and gets rotated and fun stuff.
It's not fun.
No.
You said that everybody has read-only access to everything at the top level of the JSS. Does that mean you have no private information sent to scripts and policies?
So everything, it was maybe a strong word. Scripts are actually one of the things that groups don't have read access at the top level, and that's what we use Josh's upload page to mitigate. So anything that has private information in the script itself, we have a prefix that they assign, and that isn't displayed on the upload page. So pretty easy to mitigate.
It's a handful of scripts, and that's just because of the API password hashes and stuff.
It would be nice if we had a Jamf binary for extension attributes.
How many years?
Anything else?
I'm back here with a mic too, in case somebody needed a question from the back.
Cool. Well, thanks for the shirt.
Thank you.